do it! Make the sacrifice. Surprise, mother. What? What the?
That's not how the Force works.
Star Wars turns 47 this year without even a speck of evolution. We're still seeing the same rudimentary lightsaber duels, the same cliché dialogues,
I'll show you the dark side,
and the same plastic armors. Although it is said that it was Disney that put Star Wars on the brink of collapse, which is true to a great extent, but as a person who has been a fan of this franchise for years and still is, I believe this one-sided view should be put aside and accept that the series from the very beginning in some aspects was a complete mess. Star Wars has had some problems and weaknesses which gradually caused the downfall of the franchise over the years due to the increase of these weaknesses as a result of the carelessness of directors and writers who seemed to have no interest in Star Wars at all. And a show that had the potential to be a space odyssey once has now turned into nothing but a banal show. At the beginning, when we watched the first episode of Star Wars back to 1977, in a superficial look we see a cruel, powerful intergalactic empire with an organized army and a fleet of ships, some of which are even several kilometers long, and finally, a character that many believe currently is the most evil character in Hollywood, trying to destroy the forces that struggle to free the galaxy from this dark power. Well, pretty interesting, isn't it? But when we look a little bit deeper, we see nothing but a ridiculous and annoying scenario. From the very beginning, the exaggerated weaknesses and stupidity of the villains make every audience go absolutely crazy.
What? Yahoo! Look out!
But today, I'm not going to talk about Star Wars. I want to specifically talk about Darth Vader. As you know, in various rankings that can be seen on different sites, this character is usually at the top of the list of Hollywood villains, and we as his loyal fans of course become even more interested in him after seeing these lists. Stoic, heartless, menacing, wise, strong with the Force, relentless, and some more exaggerated traits which in my opinion are wrongly attributed to him. Disagree about it? Alright. Have you ever asked yourself if this character is as evil and dangerous as we think, or we simply impose this opinion on him just because we want to? I mean, is this character in the world he's in really as evil and scary as characters like the Joker?
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
Ta-da!
It's gone.
Thanos or Darkseid in their own worlds? Has there ever been a time when he would decisively win against a formidable opponent? Has there ever been a time when he did the job he was entrusted to do correctly? Has there ever been a smart move from him? Unfortunately, the answer to all these questions is a big no. Looking at the published works of Lucasfilm, he can be considered as one of the most incompetent villains in the history of cinema. Still disagree? Well, I'm gonna prove it. From the very beginning of the story, he fails to stop the rebels from stealing the Death Star's weak point in Rogue One and then retrieving it in A New Hope. A failure that later leads to the destruction of the Empire's greatest weapon. In Episode 5, we again see his poor performance, or rather his failure in arresting the leaders of the resistance movement, as well as his son, although he was given an army to do it. a character who always shows up too late on the stage and then looks at his shameful failure. Finally, in episode 6, we see the destruction of the second Death Star and the defeat of Darth Vader against his son. Actually, the truth is, Darth Vader can be considered as the reason of the Empire's extinction. 6 years after the last time Vader was shown on live action, in 2022, with the release of the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, we all spent second by second of the series hoping for Vader's bright and grateful presence as our favorite villain. But from the very beginning, we were told a story that was really meaningless and boring for me personally. Those of us who were waiting to watch the narration of a personal enmity between master and student, old and new, light and darkness, suddenly found ourselves among characters who had no attraction for us, and unfortunately we had to tolerate them until the last f***ing moment. I mean, instead of focusing as much as possible on the characters for whom the fans were watching the show, exploring their characteristics and what they were doing in their solitude, we forcefully had to watch the characters that we had no interest in. Aside from the story, what bothers me more than anything else is the low quality of the series. In my opinion, this kind of work on a show that had a really high potential to become a masterpiece led to nothing but ruining the story and characters and ultimately disrespecting the audience. You still disagree? Alright, take the scene for example. How can Darth Vader lose Obi-Wan in a such ridiculous way after 10 years of patience? How is it possible that he doesn't feel Tala's presence there even though he's believed to be very powerful in the Force? Why doesn't he use the Force to put out the fire again? Or why doesn't he just walk through it? Why doesn't Obi-Wan's hair burn in such fire? What is the science behind it? Is Obi-Wan's hair made of asbestos or what is it? Why can't the soldiers who have been trained for shooting their whole lives aim at a slowly walking robot that moves just a few meters away? And finally, why don't they just bypass the fire? It's the most simple thing they can do. In episode 4, we see an even more stupid show. How can two people easily into one of the most secure facilities of the Empire in the galaxy, free the prisoner and simply run away? It's exactly like we can enter Area 51 and take whatever we want and then take a hike. Well, screw you guys, we're going. Some scenes are so gross that even dealing with them is painful. And finally, we have a Darth Vader ignoring his ridiculous defeat, and the previous episode blames Reva for losing Obi-Wan. At least she had a plan. The 5th episode proceeds in the same way, and at the end we see a childish and non-technical conflict between Darth Vader and Reva, which ends with shit. In the 6th and final episode, it must be said that we witnessed the peak of Darth Vader's weakness and stupidity. While he could kill two birds with one stone in a foolish decision, he abandons the rebels when he could have sent at least a few TIE fighters after them and sets off after Obi-Wan in pursuit of revenge, while we could see much wiser decision from him. And eventually his hilarious and scandalous failure to beat Obi-Wan that makes every viewer regret watching these 6 episodes. But instead, what do the creative creators of the series do to show him evil and powerful? Can killing friendly forces or few defenseless people and a boy be a sign of a person's strength or being evil, or just some source of shame and weakness for him and a cheap effort to make himself appear strong? Wouldn't it have been better if he had succeeded at least in the second attempt to kill Reva? But I believe the biggest insult to Darth Vader in Star Wars history was to return this mother back. I mean, in Return of the Jedi, we all saw him falling to his certain death. How is that possible for him to be alive? By the way, with this increasing rate of returning characters in Star Wars, I won't be surprised to see Count Dooku's resurrection too.
Because Count Dooku is dead.
It didn't work, man! I'm still alive, mother.
Apart from this, unfortunately Darth Vader is not improved in terms of appearance over time too. Looking at the evolution of some of the most popular characters, we can see that they are always getting better and updated in appearance. And this is one of the most important reasons for their increasing popularity.
Hardened Kevlar plates over titanium dipped tri-weave fibers for flexibility. It'll be lighter, faster, more agile. Perhaps you should read the instructions first.
But since 1977, we have seen nothing but a plastic and cloth dress on this character. This goes also about the Imperial troopers. The armors are clearly made of plastic, and it always made me wonder why the soldiers bother wearing these armors at all while they are of no use. Does it protect them from lightsabers? Does it protect them from laser blasts? Does it protect them from this bathroom shower? Does it protect them against heat? How about a slap in the face? In episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, we see Vader in his castle on the planet Mustafar. What kind of design and decoration is this? Similar to the toilets in the middle of roads that use black marble. They could have used a few free concept arts from the internet at least. Couldn't a magnificent and luxurious palace be considered for him instead of an empty hall? After all, he is Darth Vader. A throne that looks like a tombstone, an environment devoid of any special beauty, and I wonder what he is looking at there. And you know what? In response to these questions, some fanatic fans say Darth Vader actually chose to build the castle atop an ancient Sith cave as he believed would allow him to open a deeper connection to the dark side and some other nonsense shit. It's because the people who made the movie wanted it to be this way. Even villains can enjoy a beautiful and glorious fortress. Take a look at the greatness of Darkseid's fortress. It's magnificent. Although he's a villain, but he still can have a great castle. Everything I said about Darth Vader in the live action also goes about Star Wars games. In the Force Unleashed, Starkiller can throw him with the Force, can imprison him, and even kill him. In Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, he's beaten by 2 newbie Jedi. In Star Wars Jedi Survivor, he almost got killed.
Who's laughing now?
Still want me to continue? Alright, even in a ridiculous show like Rebels, he's beaten by a kid. Well, at the end of the line, not as a reviewer but as a fan, I have to admit that my goal of making this video was not to ruin Darth Vader, but to be honest with every of his fans watching this, and even myself. The truth is, personally, it's getting on my nerves to see my favorite villain being shown so cheap and pathetic every time, but we must put aside our prejudices and accept the truth about him. I sincerely hope to see Darth Vader in a better condition and witness him being shown with his full potential in the future Star Wars shows.
Rey Skywalker.
You serious?